Hello, this is part 3 in a series on working with database adapters to grab data. In the first two videos, I showed how to work with data, grabbing data, and validating the fact that you actually got the data that you expected, or no data. In this video, I want to work with ideas of changing a function once you have created it. Now, the function that I originally created was a very simple function that got the count based on the order ID. And then, based on that order ID, it then got the value and returned it back. Well, if you look at the table for this, just a second, you can see that there is a status field, which is probably relatively important. You obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but in this particular use case, you want to get only incomplete data. You don't want to get fulfilled data. And so if you're getting the wrong data, it's not helpful. So we want to put on something that says where status equals incomplete. Now, the reason that I'm concerned about this is because when we originally created the database adapter, this function was created, and this is the body to that, and it has a lot of the input data, and it might even have some information required that may affect adding a where clause. I mean, obviously, if you're going to change the return value, that BEPL function would no longer be valid. And the type that's also created would no longer be valid, perhaps. But if we just add a statement that says where status equals inc, would that change it? So let's do that. Okay, so we've got the status equals inc, and just want to make sure that it compiles properly. So we've got all of the data that we want in that. We're going to come over here and go to our application navigator, and we're not going to change anything in the composite, and we're going to deploy it. And it deployed. Let's go over to Enterprise Manager, and we'll test it first with a 2, which is an order that we know exists. However, it is fulfilled, and we're looking for inks. So it may not work properly. Well, it may not provide any data. Hopefully it'll work properly. All right, there are no errors, which is at least helpful to know, because the main issue is can you make changes to the SQL statement? And just the where clause. If we're changing the input or output parameters, obviously that would affect something. But if we look at the payload of going out, you can see that the order does not exist, and this is what we expected. So the summary of this is that you can make changes to the database function as long as it does not change the output parameter, which is good to know.